So, ladies and gentlemen who have joined us, you're very welcome to this webinar series. We will be starting in about exactly 5 minutes. So, thank you for joining us. We start in 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome once again to this third webinar in the webinar series for AfriChild. At this juncture, I would like us to invite the ED of AfriChild to give us a few opening remarks. Timothy, you're welcome.
Good afternoon and greetings to everyone. I'd like to thank you very much for sparing your time to join this very important webinar, which is the third of our episode series. It's a privilege for us as AfriChild to continue to share learnings that I imagine from work that we have continued to do with our partners, with our research associates. I, in a special way, would like to acknowledge our moderator for the day, Dr. Deborah Ojambo, an able and really acclaimed scholar in psychology. Her work speaks for itself. It's an honor to have you as one of our mentors, as one of our trainers, but also as our moderator for the day. I also like to acknowledge our key presenter for the day, Dr. Dennis Ofoyuru from Gulu University, who is a part of the AfriChild Centre and is part of our program on the inter-university child-focused research methods training, who will really be taking us through the findings on the study that was done in Northern Uganda, looking at the transition of children from primary to secondary education. As AfriChild, our interest is really the well-being of children, and our contribution is to really make research speak to the realities that children are facing, communities are facing on the ground, and ignite discussions that should help inform both practice and policy with an aim of improving or addressing existing challenges. I'd like to once again thank each one of you for making time and encourage us to make use of the chat to ask questions, and we look forward to a very stimulating discussion. Thank you once again, and over to you, our moderator, Dr. Deborah, to take us through.
Thank you so much, Timothy, and welcome everybody for this webinar. We're excited to have everybody. It's an exciting time when you focus on children, and would love to just request one person to quickly lead us in prayer. In Africa, we love praying and trusting the Lord. So I know usually Dr. Mona leads us in AfriChild, but anybody very quickly, please lead us in an opening prayer as we get started. Thank you. A brief prayer. Please go ahead, Dr. Mona. Kindly lead us in a brief prayer as we get started.
Let us humble ourselves and we pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear loving Father, we are grateful before you this afternoon. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to converge together as your children and deliberate on important issues. May you watch over us, may you guide and protect us, O Lord God. We pray for the success of this program. We pray all this in the mighty name of the Lord Jesus. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mona. We appreciate that, and want to straight away roll into the focus for this afternoon. Our webinar today is on factors for transition of children from primary to secondary schools in Gulu district. As our ED has already mentioned, this was a study that was pioneered by Gulu University, and we're excited about that. And Gulu University, the principal investigator who is leading the presentation today is none other than Dr. Dennis Ofoyuru. He is a senior lecturer in the Department of Educational Planning, Management, and Administration in the Faculty of Education and Humanities, Gulu University. And he's the dean as well. So we're excited to have the dean himself leading us as the principal investigator. Dr. Dennis earned a Bachelor of Arts at Makerere University. He has a postgraduate diploma in education, still from Makerere University. And then he also has a master's in educational planning, management, administration of Gulu University, and his PhD in educational management of Makerere University. He's an accomplished researcher. His research interest is in the fields of higher education, basic education, with a child-related focus. Not surprised that he's part of AfriChild. And his higher education strand focuses on the area of the university community, engagement, governance, and educational leadership, while the basic education area focuses on quality learning, environments, inclusion, and learning outcomes. He does teach a number of courses in educational management as well as educational research, and he's participated in a number of research projects. He led a longitudinal research from 2013-2014 under Learning project supported by Save the Children International and funded by Danida. And is currently the principal investigator of the project, which I'll be talking about this afternoon. And the project definitely, like we have mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, is part of AfriChild, and they investigated the transition of learners from primary to secondary schools with the Gulu district as a focus in northern Uganda. So that's the person we are talking about. Dr. Dennis, we are happy to have you here, and Gulu University team. And I'll straight away invite Dr. Dennis to get us going. And he's also gonna introduce the team that he worked with at Gulu University, an amazing team of researchers who are part of AfriChild project. Over to you, Dr. Dennis. You can hardly wait to hear from you. You will have a few minutes to be able to lead us going. Thank you so much, Dennis. Just 20 minutes for you to lead us through the process. Yes. And I know we have a short period with AfriChild Centre, which is going to share a short video, and also will share the link of another webinar later on. Yes. Yes, I see the presentation is on the screen now. Okay. Dr. Dennis, thank you. And please, you're welcome. Those who are joining us, your questions, you can put them in the Q&A section. That would be fine. Let's be able to keep our phones off so that we can listen to each other. We'll have a short time for questions. And then, oh yeah, you can also write your names, participants, in the chat so that we know who are our participants this afternoon. That would be really exciting. We would love to know everybody who is joining us this afternoon for this amazing webinar. So kindly do indicate your names, where you're logging in from in the chat. And then for any Q&A, you can also be able to put those questions in the Q&A. We shall have a few opportunities to answer those questions. We do appreciate the opportunity. Over to you, Dennis. Can you kindly put your presentation in slides mode, please, Dennis? I hope you're not having a problem. Otherwise, Emma will quickly come and help us. Yeah, we are very happy. We have a big team joining us. Thank you so much. I see many people introducing themselves. So thank you, everybody. That's an amazing team. I see somebody from Arua, some from within and outside the country, and all. Hello, that. Exciting.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, the moderator. Thank you, ED AfriChild Centre. Today, I'll be speaking about our research entitled Factors for Transition of Learners from Primary to Secondary Schools in Gulu District, Northern Uganda.
Okay, I hope others are seeing. Emma, are you able to see Dennis's slides?
Dr. Dennis, kindly double check you're sharing a different screen.
Yeah, because we can't see the slides, please.
Okay, let me.
Or would you like Emma to share them and you speak as he's sharing them? What would you like?
Sorry for that.
Yes.
I believe this should be the right one.
Okay. All right. So kindly in slideshow. Thank you. We are now seeing something coming up. Wonderful.
And somehow the slideshow gets hidden for me.
Okay. Emma, do you want to dive in and just share his presentation, if that would help us?
Dr. Dennis,
yes.
Look at the topmost where it says File Home Insert. Go to Slideshow. Do you see it at the top?
This one here.
Okay.
At the very top, click on Slideshow and begin.
Slides control.
Slideshow.
Slideshow. Welcome, Monica, Makerere University, a PhD
I see
student.
slide control.
Okay.
Emma?
Yes,
Emma, you may need to help.
doctor.
Yeah,
I
because
see slide control and then assign slide control privileges.
No, doctor, it is slideshow.
Okay, let me
try that
ask
again.
for more.
Go right to slideshow.
Just go right to slideshow. Okay. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Somebody from Tanzania. Thank you so much. Sono from Tanzania. James, Advocacy, Child, welcome. Rogers, you're welcome. Alexandria, welcome, welcome. Working with Unbound Uganda. John, welcome. We are having a lot of people joining us this afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome.
Right.
Okay.
Emma, where do I pick it from exactly?
Dennis,
Dr. Dennis.
If I look at the top bar, where do I get slideshow from?
After animations.
Do you see an animations there?
For us, we see animations.
Right next to animations, it's slideshow.
For us, we can see it on your slide on your computer.
I don't see animations.
Oh, okay. We don't know what's happening. Emma, do you just want to share on your side, or do you want me to?
The slides, stop sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Dennis, kindly stop sharing.
And then you are able to, Emma, you just share.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my other colleagues are Harriet Angwech, Patrick Ochaya, Hector Opeka-Poka, and Alphonse Opeo, all of Gulu University. Yeah, we observe that the education system worldwide is hierarchical, but also based on our Ministry of Education and Sports, you realize that the education, system is hierarchical. You start from the lowest. Now we have pre-primary, primary, but transition has to be at every level. When a level is accomplished, the next level is supposed to be the next step to move. And transition is a hallmark of efficiency and effectiveness of the education system. Therefore, it is key in any education system. We operationalize transition to mean admission and enrollment. And we are saying that the government of Uganda has made many endeavors to promote transition of education through those many different ways, like inclusive education, automatic promotion, tuition waiver in both primary and secondary schools, and also affirmative action at the time of admission where girls receive higher points. However, despite all these efforts, we observe, based on surveys by Uganda Bureau of Statistics, transition from primary to secondary school has continued to decline in the Greater North, but also particularly in Gulu district. And this is a trend that is not in line with the global international aspirations to which Uganda has been or is a party, the most current of which is the Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which implies that if this trend continues, Uganda is going to fail to contribute to that goal altogether. At the national level, we also observe that low transition or declining transition is bound to violate our aspiration as enshrined in the national constitution and other policy or programs such as the primary education policy, as well as the universal secondary education, not forgetting the Education Act, which all aspire to ensure that education as a right is accessed by all learners, but not only at the basic level, but as well as at higher levels. At individual levels, if low transition persists, the victims who do not attain transition to secondary level will actually be denied their employable skills or civic participation in their affairs of their country, and they will have higher likelihood of participating in juvenile delinquency, which will not be good for the child in any way. And having made these observations, we asked ourselves, what could be the factor? Where could the problem be? If we consider other studies and other models which relate child, family, community, and the school as very key in not only the learning, but also the transition of learner. We aspire to establish the factors influencing the transition of learners from the child point of view, family, a community, as well as the school level. These formed our objectives of the study. The study was carried out in Gulu district, where we focused on all the sub-counties in Gulu district. We considered a population of 296 for the quantitative questionnaire survey, 32 local governments, local leaders, and also 25 learners for the River of Life data, which is qualitative in nature. And we considered the 2018 P7 cohort. Why? Because this was the most recent cohort before the outbreak of the novel virus corona disease with all its attendant aftermath. So we wanted to rule out in some way the effects of a novel coronavirus disease. And we used the survey method in which we used questionnaire survey, River of Life, and key informants interview as the main methods of data collection. The questionnaire survey focused on the children because we are more interested in the views of the children, and the River of Life as well focused on the children who could render their stories, those who transition and those who did not transition, while the key informant interviews focused parents, local leaders, and school members like teachers. We use descriptive statistics and regression analysis, specifically binary logistic regression. We used thematic analysis for the qualitative data. And this involved team coding as well as manual coding. Results show that the child-related factors, as we can see, the children agreed in most of the cases on many of the items. On most of the items, we have beyond 50. But you can see that the last bar down, aspiration to join secondary school, almost all the children, 90 something, the landslide majority aspire actually to join. And when you come up to upwards a bit, the children also believe the second bar from downwards, the children believe that their performance have been good enough in as far as classwork is concerned. So all these bars, when you look at the items, the children factors, children believe that they are doing their part in as far as their roles are concerned. However, when you look at the side, discipline, commitment, cooperating with the teachers, these were the factors that emerged from qualitative data. It's not that we picked these words from the data set, but we generated these from different expressions made by the participants, arriving to these categories of findings that also help children to progress in their studies. Next. Emma? Yeah. So when we come to family-related factors, you realize that the acknowledgement of children about the roles of family has lowered a bit. When you look at the light blue to the right and on the yellow, to your right hand, you see that these have lowered. However, we didn't do inference at that point. We didn't compare these factors at family, child, or school and community level. We didn't do inference. But you see that from the descriptives, the family factors have lowered. And when you come to the issues that emerge from the qualitative data by the side, you realize positive and negative factors were realized, like family parental provision, parental follow-up, family commitments. These were very, very key in promoting transition. However, there were negative elements such as domestic violence, family separation, parental negligence, preference for boys over girls, and household poverty. These were very prominent in the qualitative data. And these actually led to declining, transition. This is an excerpt. This is a passage from the data set where children have expressed issues basically related to poverty, failure to obtain school fees, and so forth. It is a river of life story. Next. Community-related factors also played out. And when you see the bars, you see that few from downwards, very few children, the lowermost bar, very few children believe, okay, like 50% of them, 51, 52, believe that their peers support them in respect to transition from primary to secondary schools. And the leading factor in that category were existence of role models. Children admit that role models exist in their communities, and these have been useful in encouraging them to transition from primary to secondary school instead of stopping at the primary level. Community also encourages children to continue with the students. That's bar number 2. You can see that bar is also big enough. And when you come to the qualitative, existence of role model also came out, and advocacy also came out. This corresponds to both bar number 1 and bar number 2 in the quantitative data. And a number of negative factors were also, negative factors came up. You can see them in their number: peer influence and destructive community activities of various nature. These actually impeded the transition of learners who participated in them. Next. This is a data passage from a teacher who says the things that lead other children quitting school aren't many. Some of them are bad influence from those that have dropped out of school. These are children who lounge around at the center and they dress indecently, making these children at school think that that's the best life. There are drug addicts in this community who influence some of these children to join them. Some few children normally fall in their traps. This is supporting the community factors already highlighted above. Next. This comes from a local leader. I'll not read it, but it also supports the community factors. I'll not read this one. School-related factors. School-related factors, as it came out in the quantitative data descriptive, most children, the lowermost bar, most children believe that their teachers are knowledgeable in the what? In the subjects they teach. As you can see, that bar for the light blue and yellow is very long. It's actually beyond 80%, close to 90%. When you also come upwards, the children are happy with school rules and regulations. The very first bar, the children believe that school rules and regulations are actually constructive and help them in keeping within their bounds and ultimately helping them to do well and transition to secondary school. And these are the key areas: support from fellow pupils, availability of ample reading space. But availability of reading space is the one that suffered the most in the schools. It means that reading spaces are in short supply in most of the schools. And some of the positives played out in the quantitative data that we brought them out in terms of relationship between learners and teachers, co-curricular activities, and guidance and counseling. Guidance and counseling supported learners to be stable in school, to focus. Co-curricular activities was said to make them more competitive, even to enthuse them to pursue studies further, as well as good relationship between learners and teachers, which made it possible for those particular learners with good relationship to benefit from their teachers and therefore improve their performance and be able to transition to the next level. This is a data passage, and the teacher says the relationship between the school and the parents should also be good. Other parents are strengthening the relationship between them and school, encouraging the children and making follow-ups. Due to good relations, some parents invite the teachers to go to their homes and visit the children home. The teacher always have time to talk to the family about education. However, when there is a bad relationship between the school and the parents, it is impossible for the teacher to visit them. You can see this relationship stuff has two sides. It has the positive and it has also the negative based on this teacher. What about transition itself? Previously, we have been looking at the IVs, the 4 areas, dimensions of the IV at family, child, family, community, and teacher school level. Now we look at the DV, which is transition itself. Transition was found to be, we measured it in 2 dimensions. The admission dimension, 75% only got admitted to secondary school. It means that 25% did not get admitted from that cohort. And out of the 75 that got admitted, 69, around it can be 70 if you want, 70% did not actually get enrolled. So that is the difference. There is one thing being admitted and another thing not being enrolled. So this is the kind of situation we are talking about, which makes transition still a problem until now. And the question we have asked, why? And the why question, some of them already have been answered in the descriptive, to which we juxtapose the qualitative results. Next. And here is our regression model, now showing the relationship. We, of course, regressed transition. And remember, transition comprising of 2 dimensions, admission as well as enrollment. We regress this against the predictors, including age, sex, child, family, community, and school. However, we focused our conversation on the 4 factors that formed the DV, where you see that child-related factors were significant. You can see the P there is quite below 0.05, while the XB, that is the ORR, is actually 4.829. So this tells us that child factor predicts admission by 4.8 times. And when you come down to family factor, you see that it doesn't predict admission. However, it predicts enrollment with significance value of 0.12, which is still less, is still below 0.05. And the XB, the odds ratio, that's the odds ratio, is could be rounded to 2.5, 2.466, which tells us that family factor is very significant in influencing enrollment to that tune of actually predicting it by 2.66, which is 2.5 times. Come down to community level, you realize that also it is significant for predicting admission. However, take a note of the B. The B is negative for the community factor. It means that community factor influences admission negatively for that matter. And when you, but the odds ratio is also provided, XB, if you look at that column. And then when you come to getting enrollment in school, you see we have 0.027 is also less than 0.05. And we have 3.48, which is rounded to 3.5. However, this should be realized that there is a difference where the B is negative. It means that the influence is in the negative direction. So we actually deduct the 34 from 100, which will leave us with 65%. So that is the kind of the gravity of the problem. Community factor is affecting transition that much. And if you go to those many other factors that came in the qualitative, you will now tell why. Can we move on? So these are actually the issues I've already explained in the previous slides. We move. We concluded that child, family, and community factors enhance or impede transition. And we recommended the following. Schools or NGOs should strengthen life skills training for children so that the strength we have found in the family factors could be consolidated. Because even if we found our strength, that 25% is still something that is worrying. It's like a quarter of the children are not transitioning. But again, parents need to be trained in preparing in parenting skills, because there were many factors at the family level that were revealed to affect the transition as well. We also believe that if sports is strengthened, it could be a good replacement for those destructive community activities, such as video viewing at the centers, disco dances, participating in traditional marriages, and so on and so forth. Children might participate more in games and sports than those activities. For local governments need to strengthen bylaws. There are some bylaws existing already. We are informed that there are some bylaws, but these need to be strengthened as far as Gulu district and northern Uganda is concerned. And we also implore the local government leaders who speak well about education in most gatherings, such as burials, such as prayers, while they emphasize the benefit of transition, they could concurrently emphasize the benefit of communal support to the children. This idea of I don't care, this is not my child, seems also to be rampant. So local leaders need to promote the old ideology of collective child bringing. Thank you so much for listening to me, and back to you, my moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Dennis. That's amazing, an amazing study. We thank you for the work well done, very interesting, taking care of the children, and you've helped us understand some of the key issues affecting transition of children in Gulu district. Okay, we want to ask a few questions from the audience. A few questions, please. Anybody who has a question, you want to shoot up your hand or ask a question, you can ask the Gulu team. They are ready to respond to some questions. And because of time, if you have a question, and then also kindly post your question in the Q&A, then we can see your question very fast. I know we already have one question here, but I would love first to give opportunity to, Robinson, please. Robinson, welcome from Malawi. Please, you can unmute and ask your question. Robinson, please.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. Dr. Dennis, good afternoon. Robinson from the University of Zambia here. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I was following keenly. I just have one, or maybe you can put it two questions. The first one is, were the findings from the study surprising? The second one, one of the recommendations touches on increased activities of sport in those communities. Was this part of the questions that we asked in the field, and what was the nature of the question that's solicited for that recommendation that we have given? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have another question? I see, is this still your hand, Robinson? Dennis, you want to respond to that, please, as we see if another person has a question?
Many thanks to you. Many thanks to you, Robinson. Very significant questions raised. I would like to say that these findings may have not been very surprising. However, it comes to a local person in the village, it may not be very surprising. However, the same findings may surprise anybody outside the context of Northern Uganda. So we definitely may have lived with some of these things, but until you bring it out in a systematic way, you may not claim that it is what it is. Two, the sporting activities here, a number of issues were also raised by the participants in respect to sport. Like when you look at the findings at the school level, something came out in regards to sport. And it was our hope that children look for something. When you look at all these other activities, video viewing, disco dances, the so-called auction markets, these children tend to use them as a leisure activity. So we proposed intensifying of sports activity as a possible alternative leisure activity that might interest children more than the ones that are being used in most of the villages currently.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dennis. Okay, do we have another quick question from the audience? And once again, participants, would love you to post your questions in the Q&A. That will make it easier for us not to miss out your questions. And we have a poll as well, I'm being told that we're going to do. Questions, please. Post them in the, and kindly be brief in your questions so that we have a short time, we're able to benefit. Okay. I think
there
yes.
is one I could respond to by Monica Agena.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, I think ethnography would be good. Ethnography would be very good. And what if we say that this survey has now given a ground for further studies, and we take that also as a recommendation? We recommend maybe ethnographic studies in order to, go deeper and delve deeper into this issue. That would be a good thing. So to be precise, yes, if time was on our side, we could have adopted ethnography, but we used an alternative design, which was survey. And we believe that the findings yielded are valid enough, but can be, the discourse can be extended. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. We have another question here, two questions. There's one by Rogers. What are those psychological factors that affect the child's transition? If any, what kind of interventions will be helpful here? That is Rogers from Chamberlain University. Gulu team, do you have any responses to that, please?
I don't know if any one of us wants to answer, but look at a family level. When you look at family level, you realize that there is family separation. You realize that there is domestic violence. You realize that there is negligence. You realize also that we found out that there's preferential treatment for boys and girls. And if somebody used psychological lens, the person would have delved deeper along that line to find out how psychologically these children were affected. But I don't think that we went into that depth at that point. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. There's a comment by Lois, just talking about education. Thank you for that comment, Lois. We appreciate it. I also see in the chat a lot of appreciation for the study that Dennis and the team have done, a lot of recommendations. Dr. Dama and other team members, we thank you. We see your comments. Thank you so much. And then Susan is talking about skills and parenting. It should not be the responsibility of NGOs, and she is suggesting that NGOs, schools, places of worship should also be engaged. So broadening up the area for other participants. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I see out of thank yous in the chat as well. Any other questions we want to, in the Q&A, please, if you have any other questions, we would love to hear those questions from you. And I know we also have a poll that AfriChild, yes. Okay, a quick one, participants. Factors that influence transition. We've all been listening to Dr. Dennis and the Gulu team give us an amazing work that they've done. And here is a poll that they would love us to quickly host, and panelists cannot vote. Okay, so others are able to vote. What factor has the highest influence on transition of children from primary to secondary school? Fellow child, family, community, school, and others. Would love participants to be able to participate in this poll. I think we have about 1 or 2 minutes, Emma, for this. Emma, how much time are you giving us for this one here? Like 3 minutes?
Just 1 minute.
Okay, 1 more minute, please. Would encourage participants to please get participate so that we see where we are. It helps us as AfriChild to get a picture of your responses and what is happening. Wonderful. Thank you. And then let me kindly, please, put in more questions in the chat. We want to hear your questions. Questions. I see Catherine. Okay, and as the team is completing the polls, we have, okay, thank you so much. We already have the polls up here, and the majority of participants are talking about family. That family is very, very important as one of the, it has the highest influence on transition of children. So the participants this afternoon are voting for family. And family is very critical. It does influence what is happening here. We have another question here from Catherine Mugabo, and her question is, if you are to invest in the 4th sector as direct apportioning funds, child interventions, family facet, community, and school level. What your investment portion in terms of money look like? Okay. Gulu team, do you have any thoughts about that? And maybe another member of the person who is any other participant could also give their views. Somebody is asking which of these four would somebody invest in most? Direct apportioning fund, which is child intervention, family facet, community, school level. Any comments on that, Dr. Dennis and our Gulu team?
Many thanks to you. Very interesting. I like the debate. Time is not going to be on our side, but I like the attendance. I like the debate. We want to observe that there is an interplay between all of these factors. The child lives in the family, but the family is situated in the community. And the child also interacts with the school. And I can't agree more. The church is very important in influencing the minds of our learners. And churches are also supporting, actually owning many schools in the region. So without being specific to the question, we agree, we observe that there's a lot of interplay so a good community will most likely have, support what goes on in their families. So as for the apportioning this, apportioning that, maybe we can leave it to, to further debate. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, either from the audience directly, or there's another question I think which has popped up. Let's see which question we have here. Ruth, thank you. Ruth's question is it possible to conduct the lack of investing in the parents? What do we lose? That is Ruth. Is it possible to conduct the lack of investing in the parents? What do we lose? So Ruth, are you talking about if we don't invest in the parents? What do we lose? Okay. Something again inclined to family. Okay. Any comments, Gulu team? A lot of interesting comments and questions here. And then I think we have another new question coming up. Okay, she's simply saying yes. Dennis, are you there? Do you have any comments? Ruth, are you wondering, is it possible to conduct the lack of investing in parents? Are you thinking that needs to be explored to see what that would mean for communities? Ruth, you can even unmute and be able to ask your question to clarify it further. As we wrap up, we just have a few minutes. Ruth might be the last person because we have about 6-7 minutes before the end of our webinar. Would love to see. Okay. Ruth, I'm seeing yes. We want to give you the last opportunity. Ruth, do you want to ask your question? Because time is not on our side. Okay, looks like Ruth is very quiet. We have about 6-7 minutes. Very mindful. Any other quick question that somebody has? And we are very appreciative, Dr. Dennis and the Gulu team. There are a lot of appreciations in the chat.
Hello?
Hello? Okay, Ruth, you want to ask your question very fast, please?
Yeah, I wanted to ask that if we don't invest in training parents, what do we lose as a country?
Okay. A very general question.
Yeah.
Yes, we've heard that if we don't invest in training our parents, what we lose as a country. A very broad question, probably.
Okay, Dennis. Yes, I think we lose a lot, Dr. Deborah. Ruth, I think we might be losing a lot already, because I think most of us go into parenthood without any serious, education or training about the same. And that's why possibly you see that when it goes to the poll, the current poll, most of the people said it is the family, that the family matters most. And when you talk about the family, you consider the two parents, mother and father, or guardians, and then the siblings. So I believe that we lose a lot. And the question you asked could be a question for actually another research. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dennis. We appreciate your engagement as Gulu University. Thank you so much for a work well done, an amazing project, which has a lot of implications for policy and impact for the life of our children in this country. And I want to straight away hand over to our AfriChild Centre. We only have about 4 minutes or 5 minutes to the end of our hour. Thank you so much, Dennis and Gulu Tum, for very informative discussion and presentation. And AfriChild Centre, you want to tell us, please? I know we are having a series of webinars. Would love to hear more about our next webinar. And what next for us, please? We want to hear those next steps. We want definitely to make sure that our children are benefiting and moving on with our research studies. But we also want to hear more. We are 7 universities, the other universities that are going to share their work. Emma, are you the one or Claire telling us about our next link? Because we are looking forward to the next AfriChild webinar that we are going to have focusing on our children as a center for research on the African child. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this amazing webinar this afternoon. Thank you, Gulu team, and thank you all the participants. Let me hand over to AfriChild Centre.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Deborah, for taking us through these sessions, as well as Dr. Dennis and everyone who attended. We really treasure your time, and we are glad you managed to make time out of your busy schedules to join us this afternoon. So up next in this webinar series, we'll have the UMU team on the 26th of September. So we look forward to having you, as well as associates and well-wishers, as we try and expand the conversation on these several issues. Like Dr. Deborah mentioned, there were 7 studies, but there's still more that AfriChild does. There's still more that AfriChild does with our partners, like the universities. So thank you very much, and God bless you. We look forward to having you next time. All right, have a blessed afternoon.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, we thank everybody. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, everybody. Yes. Enjoy the afternoon. Yes. And I see there's a message in the link from AfriChild Centre. Please enjoy that information that we've received from AfriChild Centre. Thank you.